Please welcome Marissa Bode. Thank you, dear. Thank you. Is that on for you?
Testing one. Yes.
Yes, it is. Welcome. It's so nice to have you.
So nice to be here.
So real quick, have you done very many Comic-Cons yet?
This is my first Comic-Con ever.
Are you at all surprised by the amount of enthusiasm and love you get from these people?
Yeah, it's been really nice and really lovely, so thank you guys. Thank you all so much.
Great. So if you don't mind, talk a little bit about Wicked, a couple other things, and then we'll open it up to the audience.
Yeah, I mean, since November, it's been really go, go, go. But it's been a wonderful ride. Since filming too, it's been a lot. The biggest thing I've ever done in my entire life, especially coming from a small town in Wisconsin. But I love Wicked so much, and I'm so grateful for this experience.
What drew you into the role, and what about the character, your character, that you really kind of grip into and identify with?
Yeah, I mean, I saw Wicked when it was touring, when I was still in Wisconsin, when I was about 11 or 12 years old. And honestly, that was one of the first times that I saw a character in a wheelchair on stage, which was really important to me. That was around the time I had just become disabled. And so I thought it was really cool to see a character that was disabled. And that's something that really definitely drew me to the character. And in the film version especially, Nessa is a little bit more developed, which I love, and you can really see her wants and her desires, and just falling in love for the first time also. I know that experience as a disabled person is especially, it's just very special, whether it's reciprocated on all ends or not. For her, it means a lot, and she definitely does, since it is her first experience, have those rose-colored glasses on for sure. But it's still a very sweet moment, and that dance sequence is a very sweet moment and very, in my opinion, a turning point for her, and really is where she does fall in love for the first time. But yeah, her character means a lot to me in a number of different ways, and specifically from the disabled community, it means a lot to the rest of this community as well, seeing themselves, especially in the film, authentically cast for the first time.
How did you prepare for this?
When I was auditioning, which was over the span of a few weeks, I had one of the shorter audition span time frames where I know the rest of the cast, it was over a month. Although for me, it still felt like forever, because I was like, just tell me, please, tell me so I can grieve this forever, or I just need to know, because I really, really wanted it. But I rewatched Wicked via YouTube, which go see Broadway shows. I'm not supposed to say that, but go see shows on Broadways and go see them in person. But unfortunately,
Green slime tutorials, they're called. Is the
slime tutorials.
yes, slime tutorials.
Okay.
You know, there are people secretly record. So
Okay. Noted. Noted.
Noted.
But
I don't. I pay to go.
yes, always pay to go, but because I was on a time crunch, and I really did want to remind myself of the story and all the characters, I did rewatch it, especially since I was still in the audition process. And then when I was actually cast in it, I kept a little journal where I would journal as the character, which helped fill in a lot of the blanks that weren't already written in the script. And really helps me get in the mindset of Nessa in a lot of ways.
Not to be too personal, but what was your journal entry about, or don't you want to talk about journal entries?
There was a lot of journal entries prior to where we're even at Wicked of just like my childhood. There were a few entries of just truly my feelings, how I feel about Bach, how I feel about Elphaba, even just being at the school. And then, not to get into it too much because we
I'm
have
fine. Yeah,
we
yeah,
have
yeah.
we have more to see. Definitely a lot of journal entries in the gap in between where we see part one and part two, because
Right.
there's a time jump from what the audience sees, and so I did my best to fill in a lot of those blanks as well.
And you started acting fairly young. What got you interested? And were there any actors or actresses that inspired you?
Well, I am an annoying little sister, basically. And my brother started in local community theater before me, and I wanted to copy him because, again, I'm an annoying little sister. And so I just did local community theater in Wisconsin and continued doing it through middle school and high school. There's not necessarily particular actors or actresses per se that inspire me. There's definitely performances that really inspire me. I think Mia Goth is incredible. I love horror. I love Pearl. Octavia Spencer, Viola Davis, and then also other disabled actors and actresses like Ali Stroker, Jillian Mercado, Lolo, Lauren Spencer. I think she's incredible, and I have the privilege now, weirdly, of calling both Lauren and Jillian my friends. So I would say them for sure, and there's definitely also a lot of films that like The Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz was one of the first films I've ever seen in my life. And so that's definitely special. And then my junior year of high school actually was when La La Land came out. And that was very pivotal to me and my life because that was junior year when the question of like, so what do you want to do for the rest of your life came up. What are you going to do after graduation? And me and my anxious brain freaking out. And I knew I wanted to go into the arts in some way, but being in Wisconsin, small town Wisconsin, it wasn't the realistic route. But La La Land honestly was kind of something that inspired me to carry on and at least try to do this.
So, do you prepare differently from like a theater experience to a film experience?
Yes and no. I think specifically because Wicked is adapted from a stage musical, I think a lot of the prep was similar, just in different ways and different spaces. Like obviously you're practicing in this weird set somewhere in London, which is where we filmed. But a lot of it honestly felt pretty similar to me in a lot of ways. I will say the most rehearsing that I did was the dance sequence itself. I did a lot of the rehearsing itself just with lines in my own time. We had a few sessions just sitting with John where it was either me and Cynthia or me and Ethan going over the lines, but most of the rehearsing was just me and myself.
So, you would say probably the most memorable part of doing the film was probably the dance sequence for you.
Yeah, it was like my little baby in a way. Because we rehearsed that over the span of probably like a month and a half to 2 months, and we put so much work into it. After we filmed it, it was like it was weird. It was weird to kind of let that go because we had put so much time and love and care into it. But yeah, that was probably the one thing that we really worked on the most, not just in terms of dance, but really storytelling as well, and what our characters wanted to convey during that dance sequence.
What was it like seeing it on screen? Was it like you envisioned it, or was it?
It was, I don't know necessarily what I envisioned. It was really cool, specifically, I think, seeing the camera work, because I had an idea of what it was going to look like, and I did get to see some of the playback while we were actually there. But it was really cool to see, the glimpse of the camera coming down to my shoes because that was really important in terms of storytelling at that point. And then just how the camera moved throughout the space as well. I think that was really cool. And then just in general, seeing my face on screen, it was like a weird out-of-body experience where, like, I know I was there, I know we filmed it, but it was almost it was weird. It was strange to see myself on screen like that for the first time.
And it had to be really exciting for seeing the audience reaction.
Yeah, totally. Like the premieres specifically, because that's where they just like wicked lovers unite basically at those premieres.
Where was the premiere at? Can you talk a bit about that?
Well, there was multiple premieres. The first one was in Australia, which honestly, Australia was probably one of the most hype crowds out of all of the premieres. And they were such a lovely crowd, and just really seeing and hearing people that are such big fans and know all the songs and everything just see the film for the first time was really, really cool. And hearing their reactions was, and the clapping and all the cheering after every song is just really, really cool.
So it's almost like a combination of like theater and film because there's all the audience
Truly.
reaction.
Yeah, no, exactly. It really did feel like a theater experience in that way.
You also do some writing and some producing, right? A little bit about that, please.
Yeah, well, when I was in college, because I went to a performing arts college in LA, I had a few different projects that I worked on, although I did work on other projects outside of that, just on my own, just because I do love to create. One of the first projects that I really filmed and produced on my own, just on my own little iPhone camera, just very, very bare minimum, low budget, but the effort was definitely there. I put my all into that project. It was this little sort of horror comedic short called You're Adorable. And it was sort of around Valentine's Day, and I wanted to have it ready to go for Valentine's Day, because I love a holiday. But it was also like at the height of COVID, so also most of it was indoors that I filmed it. And at that time, I was back at my parents for like a year and a half doing virtual college while the world figured everything out. And it was basically, the story was me, or a character, I called her Girl, just very bare bones girl, not a specific person per se. And has a crush on a boy, and she wants to get his attention, and she looks through this little book of ways to win a boy's heart, and she goes down the list, and he doesn't like her back. It's very clear, and she's going down this list, and then she writes a little letter to him. She gets a letter back, and it's like, no, I don't like you. I like Susie instead, and she has like this freak out moment. A long story short, actually, it's somewhere down on my Instagram. I won't spoil it too much, but she has a freak out. It's a little bit dark, but also kind of silly at the same time. It's very short. Anyways, my dad, who is one of my biggest supporters, and I love him dearly, he encouraged me to enter it into the Wisconsin Film Festival, and it did get accepted, which was really cool and really exciting, because I had never had a film like that in general just accepted into a film festival. So that was really cool, and he was really, really happy for me. My dad is honestly one of the people who's encouraged me throughout this journey. Both my parents, really, but I'm just really close with my dad. And yeah, oh my gosh, I just spilled.
That here.
That's I would do that, huh? But yeah. And I've done, I think, maybe 4 or 5 short films since then, just in my own time, just because I really do love to create. I hope to do more in the future. I love playing around with visuals and colors. You're Adorable was one of those things that I played a little bit around with colors. I had ordered these lights in the mail, and I ordered them from Amazon, and they're like, there's like an app on your phone, and you can change the color via there. And I played a little bit around with color. Like, the more the film goes on, the more red you see in the film, and the more like pinky reds that you see in the film. But yeah, I have a lot of fun creating just in my own time.
Where can people see some of these? Are there any of these online or on your website?
Yeah, there's a few on Instagram. I think there's a few on YouTube as well. But yeah, I have a lot of fun, because that was one of the things that I was also encouraged in college to do, because like, unfortunately, we're headed in a good direction, or we're anyways, in a good direction in terms of just more inclusion in this industry. Um, but a lot of my teachers did say, there isn't a lot out there, but we always are going to encourage everyone really to write their own stories or write their stories. So that was something that I did and continue to do, and also encourage others to do, because really writing our own stories and storytelling, I think now really is also really important.
Would you mind getting some questions from the audience for a bit?
Yeah, of course.
Let's get some questions. Now, are you got a photo up after this, or are you going back to your table after this?
Oh my gosh, I
Agent? Or no?
someone knows.
What's that? Back to the table.
Back to table.
Back to table. So I always like to say that because if people, are too shy to ask a question, they can go directly to the table after the Q&A.
Okay.
All right, let's grab some questions. Raise your hand. We're going to come right around. And by the way, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, of course.
What was your favorite part
Nice-
of the
nice and loud, like-
experience?
My favorite part of the experience.
Yeah.
Okay, my favorite part of the experience. There was a lot of it. It changes every time, and it's really truly hard to pick because it really was just a fun experience. I think one of my favorite parts of the experience was probably meeting younger Nessa Rose for the first time. I'm really close with her family still. They live not too far from where my partner lives, and so we see her and her family often. They're an incredible, lovely family. Her parents are really sweet. But I think meeting her for the first time, the sweetest child, I raced her in my wheelchair. We both raced in our wheelchairs together. But I would say that for sure.
Great. Next over there.
Yeah, so you mentioned disability inclusion getting better, but that there's still a long way to go. So I feel like we see more like disabled superheroes nowadays, but is there any particular kind of role that you'd love to see or play as a disabled person?
Oh, wow. I never thought of that specifically as a disabled person, but I do think in general, I would love to see more characters just existing, disabled people just existing in everyday life, because that truly is our reality. And although it's really important, I think, to have those stories of what it is like to live as a disabled person, I don't think we need that every time. Telling our stories is important, but we really are just out here existing. I think that would also help just make more people see us as human beings truly, and not always see us as these people to pity, because we're not. Disability can be hard, and there are aspects of disability that can be hard, but I think a lot of that is the barriers that are already put in place and that can already easily be made accessible if those around us just ask the right questions and listen to disabled people.
Hi.
Hello.
Sorry, now I'm narrowing down all my questions all at once and I'm a little nervous. So I'm a teacher and a mom of two, and I know how growing up is very difficult. And I see my students, really struggling right now with wanting to be like everybody else and, fitting in. And I'm sure in Hollywood, it's a big challenge for you as well, and a lot of stress. I'm sorry, I'm just talking nonsense at this point. I guess I would say, what would be your advice to young kids today in following their dreams?
Yeah, well, first off, thank you for doing what you do. I have such a love for teachers. Actually, prior to Wicked, I was working part-time as an after-school art teacher, basically, and a mentor with middle schoolers, which I really did love the job. Middle schoolers were our toughest age group, for sure. But I loved doing the work, and I really loved the payoff also, just to see the kids grow, or some of the kids that didn't necessarily want to do art to begin with, just seeing them try and then seeing where that led. That was really rewarding for me. I would say just hold those around you already very close, and those that are in your life very close, and those that love you for who you are very close. And that's important, and to not try to change to fit fit in anyway. I think it's important to maybe try different things and see if it works or if it doesn't work. I know I did growing up, try different aesthetics or I don't know, cut your hair a different way. Just try a bunch of different things. I think that's part of finding yourself for sure. But if it's not meant to be, don't force it. And try a number of different things. Try out for different clubs. And then if you have a dream, stick with that. And try it. If it doesn't work out, that's also okay. There's 100 other different things for you to do, and you also might find something that you like more. I thought I was actually going to go, which kind of ended up working out, but I thought I was maybe going to go into art education and be an art teacher, which kind of worked out for a little bit part-time anyways. And then Wicked happened, so you never know. Just, if you don't try, you will never know. I think that's the bottom line.
Okay, let's get a few more. Oh, way in the back.
Want to stand up for me?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Hi.
Hello.
So you were like in a musical movie. So I was just wondering, like, if you like played any instruments, like anything musical like that.
Yeah, I was in band for like a year and a half. Wasn't very good at it. I'm not gonna lie. I played the trombone for a little bit. I wish I was better at playing the trombone than I was. My brother, also being copycat little sister, my brother played the tuba. He stuck with it, and he was pretty good at it. But he doesn't. After high school, he stopped playing. But I did play the trombone for like a year and a half. Not great, but I did play the trombone at one point. Yes. Clarinet's cool. I would not mind learning one of these days. I actually did play keyboard for a little bit. It's interesting because I'm not the best at reading music, oddly enough, being in a movie musical. But I'm really good at picking things up by ear, and so I would just learn watching YouTube videos how to play different things just by watching videos on the keyboard, play things on the keyboard.
So I'm a freshman in high school, and I do like theater stuff, and I recently did a musical. Do you have any advice for me on like what to do with that type of stuff? Because I want to be an actress after I get out of high school and stuff.
Yeah, totally. I think maybe looking at options in terms of colleges, although college is very expensive, I do know. But also acting classes. I think acting classes also can be helpful. I just started up doing acting classes. There's a lot of the greats out there, Meryl Streep included, who has done acting classes even in her professional career, and I think she actually still does acting classes. So I think consistently working at the craft. I think also just watching performances of people you really admire, or just seeing performances that you really admire and take away like, wow, that's a really good performance. I think studying those and taking away what you love most about those performances and honing in on that, I think that's also important in terms of working at the craft itself.
So we got time for about 2 or 3 more questions.
Hi, so I'm a special ed teacher, and also my niece is nonverbal and in a wheelchair. Is there any advice just for everyone that you have about what people should be aware of if someone's in a chair or just like that, like, because you're very well spoken and can let us know?
Yeah, I think for those that are nonverbal or maybe cannot communicate, I think listening to others within the community, as you said, that can communicate in that way. But also sometimes those that can't communicate verbally can communicate in other ways. So knowing them and getting to know them more and tuning in on that and listening to them, whether it's body language or whatever it is, I think that's also important. There's so many other people within the community, of course, not just me, that have such knowledge about these things. Also, knowing our history. I honestly, it wasn't until I was 20 years old until I really learned about the disability rights movement. Crip Camp is a great place to start. That's where I started. It's a documentary that I believe is still on Netflix. Judy Heumann, incredible disability rights activist who really was the mother of disability rights. I think that's a place to start as well and see how far we've come. Because what was so so cool about learning and so cool about this I believe it was Gen Ed, that all these disabled people went to. That was really their first time seeing other disabled people that looked like them, also seeing other disabled people that didn't look like them and learning from them as well. And yeah, I think that was really cool because they feature a number of disabled people in that film, those who are more verbal or those who have cerebral palsy that maybe it takes them a little bit longer to speak, but they still can communicate. So I think knowing the history, watching that film is also very important.
Okay, let's get last question.
Hi. Hi. Kind of to go a little further with some of that, you mentioned that you're very close with your brother. I have a sister with a disability as well. I was 5 years old when she was born, and I didn't really know a whole lot about how to interact with her, and I did have to learn kind of on the job, as it were. Mm-hmm. Do you have any advice for older siblings that, I mean, obviously she had an intellectual disability, not as much the physical, but do you have any advice for older siblings that are now having to deal with this new, deal with is maybe the wrong way to say it, but, you know, interact with people in this way now, their younger siblings?
Yeah, when I first became disabled, it was a learning experience for my parents and brother and my friends and truly everyone around me, and even the new friends that I make in my life now. I've been told a number of times, like, I didn't think about this until meeting you. I didn't think about this inaccessibility thing that shouldn't be there, but until meeting somebody that's disabled. So a lot of it really is learning as we go and learning just, again, like interacting with other disabled people as well. And hearing from other disabled people, whether that's in a local communal space. I think maybe finding, if possible, other disabled people within a local communal space is important. Or just finding online. That's actually where I became a lot more comfortable in my own disability, was finding a whole community out there online, and meeting a lot more people online. The internet really is one of the most accessible places for disabled people. I've said that a number of times, and it's something that I like to continue to say. Just a lot of disabled people out there that are just unapologetic about their life and about speaking about inaccessibility and not afraid to call out inaccessibility or ableism when it is there. So I think finding resources online as well, it has been really helpful for me and those around me as well.
Well, thank you. And thank you so much for doing this. Headed back to your table to sign. Please go visit Marissa Bode.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.